That's all right.
Perfect. Okay. So first of all, I would like to welcome you all for joining us today, our guests, our students. And it's such a great pleasure, for us to organize this discussion. As you will notice, it is going to be beneficial to the and the people listening. I would like to kindly ask everyone to mute yourselves, please. Can you mute yourself? Shama, if you can mute yourself, please. Thank you so much. So yeah, thank you so much for coming today. As the title that you've seen in the poster, it is about graduate jobs, and it's discussing the challenges, the struggles, and the success stories. We did invite, and they kindly accepted our invitation, our alumni, previous University of Bolton students. Amongst them, we've got Timothy, we've got Pagna, we've got Leona, we've got Abisola, and we've got Olufemi. And today's discussion is going to be hosted by myself, but the idea is coming really from our SU president, Uchenna Victor. So thank you so much for organizing this. So we do aim for 1 hour and a half, for the meeting to last. However, it could take a bit longer. We already have been delayed by 10 minutes for technicalities. So first of all, I'd like to pass it to our SU president, Uchenna, who will introduce us to the idea behind this discussion. So Uchenna, to you.
Hello, everyone. Good evening once again. My name is Uchenna, your student union president. Last week, in the past 6 days, we organized a tour. This discussion today is part of the graduate job campaign that I'm organizing with the help of Asmaa and the rest of the team in each category or each activity we've set out. The reason why we embarked on that tour to the EU is that we are trying to pass across a very strong message. The EU is a symbol of representing over 27 countries that make up the region. The message we are trying to pass across to students is to consider the options of thinking beyond borders. We must not be limited to our home country. I remember attending a conference a few days back, and the speaker made a statement that challenged me into putting up this event. So he said something. He said, "You've been applying for a job, restricting yourself to Manchester. Why not go to Wales? Why not go to Scotland?" And the audience were marveled, and they were looking at him. And he told them that if you fix yourself to a place and it's not working for you, think of Northern Ireland. When you go to Northern Ireland and you get that UK at least 6 months, 1 year experience, when you come back to Manchester, you begin to call the shots. And at that moment, I said to myself, oh, it's possible you can even think outside the UK. You can think of the EU, you can think of Africa, you can think of Asia. I mean, the campaign is not just targeted towards international students, it's both for international students and home students alike. The fact still remains that as graduates, it's high time we began thinking outside our immediate environment, outside our home country, for those of us who are from Nigeria, Ghana, Africa, Pakistan, India, wherever you come from. It's high time you start thinking of exploring global opportunities, seizing global opportunities. So we've decided the first activity of the campaign, which is the EU tour, we've done it. The video clip will be ready shortly. This is the second activity in this campaign. In this session, we'll be having a mind-to-mind activity with students. So we'll be having another session with the careers advisors, but we want to hear our alumni who have secured their roles, share their struggles, share their challenges, and then their success stories. So that for those of us who are aiming for our jobs after we graduate or while we are currently studying, we will be inspired, we'll stay inspired, and we'll stay motivated and continue to put in the effort until we get into our desired or our dream jobs. So today we'll be hearing from the speakers on how they started, what they did differently, when they thought it was right to do it, and when they thought it was right to begin to explore options beyond Manchester or within Manchester, or the challenges they face in it and how they felt when it all paid off. These are things that we would love to hear from our own people who have been in our shoes and are in the job market now. So not to take much of your time or talk too much, I will hand over to Asmaa, who is our anchor for this event, to kickstart immediately. Thank you, Anchor, for the time to introduce myself.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much, Uchenna, once again. And I hope you can hear us properly. I don't know, at some point he started breaking the line for you, Uchenna. Did everybody manage to hear? We did manage, I mean, personally, I managed to understand everything, but is everybody okay with the audio? Can you give those thumbs up or say yes? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, nice, very much. Thank you. Uh, by the way, I'm Asmaa Bouraya, and I'm more than happy to welcome you to today's session. Like Uchenna said, we're going to pass now the opportunity to our guests to be speaking. We're going to ideally aim for a 5 to 10 minutes so that they can basically give us the summary of their experiences and the way how they navigated the job market, the techniques they employed, and their advice. We do apologize on behalf of Pragna, who, due to unforeseen circumstances, she had to basically apologize for not attending. However, we do hope that we've got all the others, and we're going to start with Timothy. Timothy, to you. Do we have Timothy?
Yeah, I'm here. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Welcome, Timothy.
All right.
Good evening.
It's my pleasure to be on here today. Thank you, everyone, for being part of the program.
You're welcome. Thank you for being part of the event, the discussion.
So yeah, Timothy, if you could tell us about your experience. So based on what you can remember of, you finishing, graduating, tell us how was the passage from being a student to landing into the career you're on now, or the one that you're willing to do?
All right. I'm a student. I'm a graduate, of the University of Bolton, a master's in data analytics and technologies. And sometimes around December, I got my job as information analyst with Velindre Cancer Center, NHS, a branch of the NHS in Cardiff and Vale University at Board, as an information analyst. Though the journey has not been smooth, to be sincere, because I started applying for jobs. Immediately, I got my I was about starting my dissertation. That was sometimes around July. I got a supervisor. I started applying because then I was done with my studies. Basically, I was just really left with dissertation. I was done learning Python. I was done learning how to use R to code. And then back home, I've got the experience of Excel, because I noticed while trying to apply for jobs in the UK as a data analyst, you've got to have that very strong experience with Excel, which I've got back home. So having fulfilled and tick all those boxes, and I was certain of myself meeting all the essential criteria of job, and I started applying. But then, for all jobs that I apply for, I read through the essential and desirable criteria and make sure that I meet all the essential criteria. All the ones I meet the essential criteria, I apply. And then some I get invited for interviews, some I don't have. But one thing I had in mind while I began my job search was that I was willing to relocate from Manchester, because I'm still a student. I came into the UK to Manchester because of the school that sponsored me. So if I'm looking for an employer to sponsor me next, then I should also be willing to relocate anywhere. So I applied jobs virtually everywhere in the UK, Scotland, England, Wales, Northern Ireland. So I've got the job links for NHS, and I was being targeted because I don't go for any other roles. I only go for NHS roles because majority of my work back home, because I've got uh, journals that I've written are based on healthcare. I've written about using SVM and random forest to predict diabetes type. So with that, I know I've got that kind of leverage in the health sector. So I didn't bother going for other sectors. I keep applying with NHS jobs, and I was willing to relocate. I've applied to jobs in Newcastle, in Scotland. Sometimes ask during the interview if I could get Zoom. If I couldn't get, I just drive myself down to the place to attend the interview. And sometimes in December, I secured the one in Wales.
That's great. Thank you so much. And what I would say is good that you kept yourself geographically available, as in not limiting yourself to Bolton and surrounding, because speaking from experience, it's sometimes hard to find, jobs. Whereas if you open up yourself to other options further, definitely chances increases. Thank you so much. Is there anything you'd like to add? And how do you find now, as you mentioned, you're now an information analyst with the NHS, yes?
Yeah.
And you see yourself continuing in this field. Are you comfortable in it, or are you considering maybe changing?
Well, at the moment, I'm comfortable with it because I just want to grabbing more years of experience in the UK, and hopefully in the next 5 years, see myself becoming a global talent in the field. And then there's always career progression in the NHS. I've got meetings with my line manager about what I want to do in the next 1 year. If I've got any special skills I want to learn or anything I want to add to my portfolio, and I think in the next 5 years I should have five extra skills to myself. So think I'm comfortable continuing in the field and probably upgrading myself, having more skills that will make me more job viable, that will make me to become that global talent that I wish to become in the next 5 years.
Well, that's great to know. Thank you so much for sharing your
Yes.
experience.
Awesome.
Now we're going to go to Leona, who is a junior buyer.
Hiya.
To yourself?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Very
can. Welcome in.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure being here, speaking as an alumni with graduates, having Uchenna, where he's one of a very close friend of mine. So it's really great to be here. So I graduated in July of last year, and I studied my master's in logistics and supply chain. So my story would be a bit different, I would say, from other people here, because I basically looked for a full-time job within my company where I worked part-time during my university. So the thought process was obviously, we all look for part-time jobs just for money to support ourselves during university. But what I did was I started building my connection within my company. I knew that obviously there's a supply chain in every company. I started building my connections. I had a very good relationship with my hospitality manager, not only my store manager, my hospitality manager. That's when, and once I graduated, um, I spoke to my hospitality manager. I told him this is my aim. I need to get into supply chain. I know there's a supply chain team. If you can get me in touch with them, I would present myself. I would be happy to present myself to them. So he got me in touch with the head of procurement, and well, they arranged an interview. And to be honest, um, the CV that I made with the help of the career service of the University of Bolton, that came into really good help for me, as well as my cover letter. My manager, so after the interview, well, basically I applied for um, a maternity contract, which was available just for 3 or 4 months. But then um, after joining the company, I mean, after joining my role, my manager was like, your skills and qualifications is something we need in our team. So we would like to offer you a permanent job. I applied for a contractual position, like 3 months, that's it, saying, let's see what happens. At least it's something I want to do and something I'm aiming to. Obviously, I'm aiming to be a procurement manager and go higher within supply chain itself. But for that, I need my chartered status, and my manager is really great. He is um, putting me out there in the industry, and it's always one day at a time. So, well, I joined my role in December, so it's just been 2 months. Um, but yeah, it's going great. Well, that's all. That's my story. But I would say one thing I would tell everyone is make use of the careers hub. That is something that built my confidence up. I was an SEC during my masters, so I was handling two jobs. I know 20 hours, but I was doing 8 hours at the university and the remaining 10 hours over there at my other part-time job. I made sure I'm not leaving that job because that's something, that company had something that I wanted to build my career in. So yeah.
Great, thank you so much, Leona, for sharing your story and your personal experience. And what I would find, I find it interesting is how you started from a part-time, temporary position into going in and ending actually getting a permanent job. And I would say that that is good because sometimes just writing things on a paper, it's not enough. It's when people interact with you, especially management, and they see you on the ground, that's when they realize how skillful you are and how much of an asset you are to their company. And I talk here from experience because at some point I applied myself for just a temporary job, and they ended up not only keeping me but also offering me a management position. So I do definitely believe in the progress that comes with starting low and having the confidence to just give it a go. No, even if it seems just, oh, it's just temporary and then I'm going to be kicked out. You might never know. You might be the one, like you said, that they're looking for. So much. Now, if we can pass it to Abisola, who is a financial manager with Abisola, can you hear us? I
Yes,
hope
I
I'm
can.
pronouncing names properly.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Can you all see and hear me? Good evening, everyone. I'd like to say a big
Good
thank you
evening.
to the president, Victor, for this opportunity to come speak to everyone and the panel at large. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. I'm a finance advisor and officer of the Co-op Group, and part of the challenges I faced when I was searching for a job was, a really long list of ones because I had the finance background from Nigeria where I was at the peak of my career. I was a group accountant from my last job before I proceeded for my master's. And I just really wanted to keep up with that pitch. Can you all hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can very clearly. Thank you.
I really wanted to keep up with that pace. And, so as soon as I got into the United Kingdom, I just tried to study the job market and I started applying immediately, like immediately. I got into the United Kingdom 2022 July, and from August, I'd already started applying. I got help with my CV. Uh, I also ensured that, it had all the boxes a finance person should have, and it was ATS compliant. And I also volunteered with the British Arts. Many of the students, I'm sure they all know me, like with the British Arts store where I volunteered. I did just 2 hours every Saturday. And I got lots of, unfortunately, like, because the finance job market in the UK is highly, highly competitive. Like, as of the day that I checked my inbox to check all the mails I'd gotten for, unfortunately, mails, there were about 854. But I didn't stop. I kept applying and applying and applying. It's just suddenly occurred to me at some point that you could actually use agencies to get your job in the UK. Like, there are agencies that offer personalized help. Like, they just don't help you get the job. They offer personalized services as well. They will help you, revamp your CV, help you chase up a job. They will organize an interview for you to make sure that you're a fit for that job. So I would just like to make a list of few of those agencies that landed me my first role. A few of them are A's, Rulion, Forest Recruitment, and Page Personnel. I really hope that helps someone. Rulion got me my first role as an admin officer with the co-op. However, my manager was like, "Oh, I feel intimidated by you, Abby. I feel you're too good to be an admin officer. What exactly did you study in school?" And I said, "Okay, I'm actually a finance person. I'm AAT certified, and I was at the last stage of my ICANN before I relocated to the UK." And she was like, "Okay, I'm going to introduce you to the finance manager." And for some reason, I was able to switch from being the admin person to, the finance officer of the co-op group. There's been lots of challenges I might not say now, but it's just for you to know that you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And during the period of time where I was searching for a job, I didn't just volunteer, I went for boot camps as well. And I also improved myself. I checked for those things that every job description had in common that I didn't have. I didn't really have a knowledge of VLOOKUP on Excel. But over time, I was able to, as a student, I was able to build that. I was able to use the pivot tables. I was able to link cells. And all these things I self-trained myself because I knew I needed it on my job in the UK. It actually really helped me. And the president actually sent me a list of questions, which that is what I've been speaking by. And it also says that, is it okay to start a job outside your field? Well, for me, I started my first role outside my field, like I mentioned, as an admin person. It's just for you to be able to, pick some skills that you can take onto your next job, which will be your field, hopefully. If you just put in the work, you're resilient, and you don't give up. And for me, I was particular about what I wanted. I wanted an hybrid role. I was really, really particular. Like, that was the only thing that I was applying for. And for some reason, probably luck or something, that was the role I got, and in the finance sector. And for where I see myself in the next 5 years, finance is really large. We have the accounting part of finance, we have the payroll part, we have the payables, we have the receivables. And in my country where I come from, as an accountant, you get to do everything. But in the UK, everything is in segments. You have to learn each of these things. For me, in the next 5 years, I see myself, having to grow in the knowledge of every areas of accounting, manage, a team of people, and probably partner with someone to own an accounting practice in the UK. Thank you very much.
You're absolutely welcome, and thank you so much for giving us some insight into, what is it that you've done to get to where you are now. And thank you for sharing the names of those agencies, because you are right. I mean, sometimes it's not just about what we do. Sometimes we have to do it another what is out there needed. They've got that link, that connections with other organizations, so they know the market more than we do. So that's brilliant. And also the fact that you spoke about starting as a volunteer. Some people take it for granted. Just because you're not paid, I won't do it. No, but sometimes you have to do it, even for the sake of understanding how the system works. Because I remember myself when I first came here to the UK, I didn't know a lot of things are different, for example, from where I come from in Italy. Although initially they were all Europe, but we're talking about two different countries with two different ways of working. Yeah, so it's really good to even if do it once a week, just for the sake of understanding how things work. Plus, it looks really good on the CV, like many do. It really looks because it is showing part of your character, that is wanted, by paid jobs. So, thank you so much. And the fact that you mentioned of wanting it hybrid, which was an important thing for you. Now, you had your reasons. Some people, for family reasons, they decide, I've got children, and now with Corona, they've experienced how is it to work from home. Sometimes is better. So, yes, it's some now that we've got that blessing of going for the hybrid jobs. There are, jobs specifically that they do say hybrid. So why not go for them? Or again, maybe not to limit ourselves just to hybrid jobs and open up to other types of jobs. So thank you so much, Abby. And last but definitely not least, we're going to pass it to Olufemi, if he can tell us his experience, please.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Uchenna, Asmaa, panelists, and all our amazing University of Bolton students. Thank you very much for having me tonight. And my name is Olufemi Kusimo. I'm a graduate from the prestigious University of Bolton, the best university in the United Kingdom. I finished with a master's in international business management July last year. And wow, it's been an amazing journey. I look back at my journey because I interact with students a lot. I can relate with most of our students, both students in our university and students from other universities. Being a student is in itself challenging. Makes it more challenging is when you are an international student. The different terrain, the different culture, everything is different. The weather is different. The weather is unpredictable. The weather is temperamental. You're thinking you've made a lot of sacrifices to come here. You've spent a lot of money. Some of us have left family behind, and you started from zero. You've come back here to start from the beginning. So for me, I came to the UK in February 2022. It's 2 years ago. And when I came, almost everything was to an extent working against me. I'd missed some quality time. I didn't resume when my colleagues resumed. I resumed, I think, about 4 weeks after, or 5 weeks. I had accommodation challenges. I had a lot of things that were in my mind. And so when I came here, the first thing I did was to really, really work on my mindset. And this evening, I'm going to be mentioning that word mindset a lot, because mindsets affect our thoughts, it affects our words, it affects our actions. And those three things are very important, because one way or the other, you see some people who are going through the same challenges you are going through, but their approach is just different. You see them, they're always happy, they're always cheerful. It's not because they have things going on perfectly for them. It's just because that they've conditioned their mind, they've conditioned their reasoning to always see things in the positive light. And that's something about life. Your mindset powers your thoughts powers your words, your confession, and it also powers your actions. And all of these things work together to power what is attracted towards you. So I got in, and then I made sure my mindset was not down. So I started uni. One of the things I first did was to build good relationship with my tutors. Good relationship with my tutors, good relationship with fellow students, good relationship with everybody I could see around, because I didn't know what I was going to do to make anything work for me. So I was trying my hands at almost everything. I made sure I was diligent with my university work, my studies. I was very focused in class, ask questions, do what I needed to do. And then I started thinking beyond the box. I started thinking beyond, okay, just coming to class and doing the things I needed to do. So I started looking around, okay, what opportunities can I grab? And that's what I said earlier about mindset. It's the mindset of excellence. It's the mindset of excellence. It's that mindset that looks around and says, how can I be a problem solver? How can I be a solution provider? That's the mindset that I feel is really going to help. And that mindset, yeah, we might read it in books. You might be inspired when people speak to you like this, but it's more of you building that mindset by yourself internally. Nobody would do it for you. You have to be able to do it yourself. And an aspect of that mindset would also help you develop thick skin. You know, sometimes when people just come into the UK, I've met people who just, you know, I've also just recently come in myself, just 2 years ago, but I've met people who are who came in more recently. And then most times what they want to do is pour all their problems on you. And they forget that this person that I'm also speaking to also has his own challenges. Nobody likes it when anybody is a burden to them. But this mindset of excellence makes you look for ways to be of value to people. And I can connect with what some of our panelists said earlier. Someone like Abisola, when she said she volunteered, she looked for a way to add value to a company. The same thing with Leona. She looked for a way. She wasn't, I feel like most of us, we bother too much about the next 1 year, the next 2 years, the next 5 years. And as human beings, it's quite normal, you know, to be concerned. But why don't you take it a day at a time? You know, step by step. Take risks. You have nothing to lose. You are here already. So take it a step at a time. You would realize from the stories of most of us that people started from baby steps. I feel like as humans, we neglect the power of baby steps. We neglect the power of little beginning. We despise little beginnings. We feel like, oh, I'm not doing as fine as my mates are doing. And so don't compare yourself with other people. My first job was in recruitment. And how did I get the recruitment job? Like I said earlier, I got to the UK at the end of February 2022. And by April, I already got a job. And that job, I didn't get it by applying per se. I got it by building relationship. Now, I got an email from one of my tutors then. He said there was an alumnus that wanted to come to campus to talk to us. And the alumnus wanted to talk to people that were graduating in July that year. I wasn't graduating until the following July, but I went. And that's what I said about the mindset of excellence. I rarely miss career fairs. Bolton career fairs at the town center, the University of Bolton career fair itself. I've gone for career fair as far as Manchester at Trafford. This is the mindset I'm talking about. It's a mindset that attracts greatness to you. It's a mindset of positivity. You are seeing the positive. You are seeing the good in everything. This is the mindset that makes you build relationships with people. People cannot say no to this kind of mindset. It might take time. You might get lots of unfortunately, but gradually, you are putting yourself out there. You are doing what you need to do. If you need to ramp your CV, you are constantly looking for ways to improve yourself. That is the mindset of excellence. So I met with this alumnus that came, and then we spoke. Other people came as well, but I struck a chord in his heart. Before I went for that meeting, I already researched what his company was doing. So you are going for an interview, take time. If possible, if you can know the name of the person who's going to interview you, check out their profile on LinkedIn. Look at something in their bio, look at something in their profile that you can connect to when you are going for the interview. By the time you go for the interview and you mention something that is peculiar to them, it will strike a chord in their hearts. All of these things are things you can do to put yourself a step forward. So I mentioned a couple of things that were personal to him, and that was it. He needed someone. He brought me on board. I was there for a while. I left. I came back. I resumed second semester. I got another job in sales and marketing, and this one was very challenging. We were knocking doors from one place to the other to sell products. I couldn't do that. I left, but I built relationships. I added to my confidence as an international student. I added it to my CV, and then I got my first major job. Do I have more time, Asma? Because I like talking.
Yes, I tell you what, we can never, it seems like your pearls of wisdom are just like hypnotizing us. That's amazing. extra 5 minutes of time, and then we can move on to the next session.
All right. So my first major gig was sometime in August of 2022. That was my first HR assistant role. That was my first role in the UK HR. I got it through an agency, and it was an amazing role. It was 2 days work in the office, 3 days work from home. I loved it, but I had to do it for just a few months and resume for my second semester. I built relationships there as well. So second semester, now this one would really, really help University of Bolton students. While I was searching for a job, April, May 2022, I went to Student Hub. I realized that a lot of my colleagues that were students, after lectures, they were always in a hurry to go home. But I was like, I've paid this amount of money. I need to explore other aspects of the campus. So I used to leave GMBS, or the IOM as it was called then, and I'll walk down to Senate, I'll walk down to the Chancellor's Mall. Oh, okay, I'll see the careers and employment. I'll see lots of places. I'll be like, okay, what's happening here? And I got a job opportunity with the careers, and that was where I met Uchenna. That was where I met Pragna, who unfortunately is not able to join us tonight. That was where I met Leona and other people like that. So every year, the University of Bolton Careers, an employment team, they employ 10 students to work as student employment champions. And that was my first real experience of being a part-time staff of the University of Bolton. That gave me a lot of insight into how the University of Bolton values its staff. It gave me a lot of insight into how, because as a student, I was the interface between fellow students and the staff of the careers. And it really, really put me out there. I learned a lot of skills. I remember different projects I led, different projects Uchenna led with Leona. It was an amazing team. And I'm not surprised that less than a year after, all of these people that I've mentioned are doing very fine in their respective fields. So it's just about picking that opportunity, looking for that opportunity, looking for ways to add value to the system, being a problem solver, just like our Vice Chancellor, George, would always say, showing up all the time. And, you never can tell which one will work for you. I've also worked at Bolton FM. I've worked so majorly I'm into human resources, and I have a flair for business strategy support. So I've had different roles in the two, and at the moment I work in the University of Bolton as an HR graduate trainee. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Olufemi. That's like I said, it's been amazing hearing and finishing with you as well. And I would like to thank a lot the other guest speakers that we had today, and for their insight. What I like about your insight, Olufemi, is the fact that you highlighted the importance of creating relationships. And now if we think about how many, just by word of mouth, how many people have succeeded, how many businesses have succeeded, because me personally, was mentioned before, for example, through career services, I've discovered options of looking for other jobs rather than the usual Indeed or CV library, which has been very beneficial. But how did I do that? By putting myself out there, arranging for that meeting, and going for it and exploring other options. So we're talking here about human interactions. We're talking about other ways, like we're talking about thinking outside the box. So you mentioned about how great it is to build relationship, and also something new that I've never heard before is how to a person ideally to research the employer and basically mention something about them or something about their career to kind of strike and demonstrate that you're serious about what you're looking for, and that you can go that extra step, and that's what the majority of companies are looking for. They're looking for somebody who's willing to use their time, energy, and skills to thrive themselves and for their company. So thank you so much. So now we're going to open, we've got a set of questions, which I'm going to be asking one at a time, and our guest speakers can feel free to raise their hands or some of them might have been already covered, but some would very much benefit from. So my first question is, based on your experience, now thinking about each and every experience, what would you say are the main challenges to take into account before applying for any job? Now, if any of the guests would like to raise their hands and answer this question. By the way, Uchenna, you're included as well. So we've got Timothy. Yes, Timothy? If you could unmute yourself.
All right. Yeah. To start with, just as Olufemi has said, you need to be sure that you've researched about the company. To be sure, because the UK recruitment process is all about value based. They want to be sure you've got that you've got imbibed in yourself the value of the company outrightly. You want to be sure you've not got any conflict of interest with them. But that's just the first step. Subsequently, for every job advert, like for example, in the field that I have been persistent with applying for job with the NHS, for every job they advertise, they always attach a file called the job description and person specification. It's really, really important that you go through that document because it explains everything you'll be doing in the job role if you're offered. And then it also with the person specification, you get to know if you're going to be called for interview or not. Because if you don't meet any of the essential requirements, definitely you're not getting called for interview. So just be sure you've got all the essentials. If you've not got the desirable, it's never a problem. You might get invited for interview. But if you've missed any of the essentials, then it's a no-no for them. And one last thing about them is there's this common thing about everyone about dumping CVs for companies. It doesn't work like that with NHS. When you're applying for the job and you put in your CV, there's a kind of box for supporting information. And while I was applying for jobs in the early days, I just fill my CVs and then just in the supporting information, I just write probably 2 lines of code, more like one of my lecturers would say. I just put probably 2 lines and just submit the application, and then it comes back unfortunate. Then there was one job, just kind of a graduate role, and then before applying for the job, we got a kind of a lecture for the job. So attending the lecture, then one of the recruitment advisors then made us understand that if you apply for a job with them, the recruitment manager have not got the time to read all through your CV. They go through your names and your qualification, and the next thing they go to is your supporting information. So if you've not put in your supporting information and let them know how you meet the essential and probably some of the desirable criteria, you're never gonna get invited for interview. And since then I knew that was what I was doing. So if you're the type targeting NHS job and then your supporting information has not captured the way you meet using star analysis, we call it star analysis situation, kind of you expressing yourself in a situation you had to perform a task, the action that you took, and what was the result. That's just the abbreviation of STAR, of how you met all the essential criteria. The right is more like experience based of how you met the essential criteria. You're never gonna get invited for interviews. So for me, I think that's more based my rule.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Timothy. Thank you. Now we've got Olufemi, and then we're going to pass it on to Leona. Olufemi, yes?
Thank you, Asmaa. Thank you very much for that, Timothy. In addition, I would just like to add that when you're applying for a job, and like I said earlier, I would be mentioning the word mindset a lot. The right mindset, in my opinion, is to also understand that there are 1,001 other people that have applied for that same job or that would apply for that same job. Now, having that right kind of mindset helps you to go above and beyond to ensure that you put your best foot forward. Sometimes we think that job applications is just about sending CVs. Now, Timothy mentioned something called a job description and a person specification. Job description is the role you're applying for. What does that role entail? The person specification is about you, the applicant. What does the company expect you to have? Now, you have to tailor your CV to suit the job description and the person specification. You can't use one CV to apply for 2 different jobs, because there are keywords in the job description, there are keywords in the person specification that has to reflect in your CV. Now, that's number one. Number 2 is also to realize that for the organization you're applying to, there's something called organizational culture. You have to find out about that company. Is it a toxic company? Because as students or as international students, sometimes the mindset we have is that I need this job, I need this job. But no, if you have confidence in yourself, if you've built value in yourself to that point, you realize that this company will be better off if they employ me. So the company is not doing you a favor by employing you. It's a mutual agreement. And that's why when you also go for interviews, don't just, when it's time for, so the interviewer asks you questions and you answer, and then the interviewer says, have you got any question for us? And then you're like, nothing. That's not good enough, because the interviewer is interviewing you. You're also interviewing them. Ask them questions. Ask the person interviewing you, how long have you been working in this company? The person tells you, 10 years, 15 years. Ask them, why have you stayed here for 15 years? Why haven't you gone to another company? What's the company culture like? Ask them challenging questions. Make them express themselves. So the company is not giving, the company is not favoring you by giving you the job. The company is rewarding you for their services, and you're also rewarding the company by giving your best. And I think I'll just make it brief and allow Leona add a couple of points too. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Olufemi. To be honest, we should have a session just with you where you tell us all about, this, because I think this time is very much restricted. But thank you so much for giving us a taste. Thank you so much. And now back to Leona, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. Totally agree with whatever Timothy and Olufemi said. Just to keep it short and simple and brief, I would say another challenge, the biggest challenge that international students face is sponsorship, obviously. One thing I personally would suggest is, obviously there is the UK list of sponsorship. Look through that, see what company provides sponsorship. But at the first time you meet the interviewer, or it might be the procurement manager, it might be the HR or anybody. Me personally, I would suggest not to mention sponsorship, because you need them to trust you. You need them to feel like, oh, I can trust this person. I need this person in the company. If your first impression is, oh, I need a sponsorship, they might think, oh, just because we are giving sponsorship, this person wants to work with us. They will not understand your value. At this point, I waited 2 months. I spoke to my manager. I was like, I need a one-on-one, if that's okay with you. He said, yeah, that's fine. I had a one-on-one where I mentioned about my sponsorship. And my manager, obviously, he knows how I've been working. I've been working part-time, but it wasn't related to the department I'm working in at the moment. So 2 months of my work, my hard work, and I spoke with him about sponsorship, and he literally told me, I would do anything that I can do to get you a sponsorship. So that's where he literally said, anything that's in my hand, I'm going to take it to the HR, because we need you in the company. So they need to understand your value before you just say, oh, just because you never need to make the company feel like, just because the person's providing me a sponsorship, I want to be in the company. They're not going to trust you. That's one thing I would say. But if asked about your visa status, just be open about it. Just say that you want to learn. And yeah, that's one thing I wanted to add onto the challenges.
That's great, and thank you so much. I'm sure this is going to be very valuable to our international students, because companies need to understand that at the end of the day, we might be a valuable asset, for them. So thank you so much. Now, the next, Olufemi, is that your hand from before, or you want to add something? No, I think it was a hand from before. Now, we're going to go to the next question, which is, how about outside jobs? In your chosen field, what do you think is the right balance in knowing that you can explore something else as a start? Now, we've got Abby. Before she mentioned something about it, but if anybody else would like to add to that question, I'm going to read it again. How about considering jobs outside, your initial chosen field? Would you be willing to consider something else as a start to begin with? Yes, we've got Leona, we've got Olufemi and Leona. Yeah, Leona, we can start with you this time, yes?
Yeah, I would say one thing that I've learned in the UK is they value transferable skills more than anything. Even if you don't have experience in the field you want to gain transferable skills. I remember in my interview, one of my questions, totally unrelated, the interviewer asked me, "What's your personality like?" Why was that question put forward? Just because they want to know if you will be able to fit in the team. So yeah, make yourselves available. So when one thing I didn't mention before was my first job was working as a team member at KFC. That's how I built into I got to know that it's a franchise, and I met the supply chain team and everything. So that's where my journey started, starting off as a team member at KFC. I didn't know that I would reach here. So yeah, transferable skills all the time. Whatever you get, just go for it.
Thank you so much. And good that you mentioned is about the character as well, because we are human beings. We interact with people. So it's not a matter of just how great you are at doing the tasks that you're asked, but also how do you work as a team member, no matter what, like the level of the job is. How are you as a person? Are you somebody approachable or not? Are you to yourselves? Which, with all due respect, but certain jobs require certain characters. So thank you so much. Did we have Olufemi? Olufemi, did you want to say something?
Yeah,
about
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you again, Leona. What I would just like to add is, as students or as international students, I'll just advise, and most of these things we are saying, it's possible that we have someone on this call that you are like, there's nothing you've been saying so far that applies to me. And it's possible because we all have different experiences. Leona's journey is absolutely different from Timothy's, different from Abisola, it's different from mine. And if Pragna were here, I'm sure our story would be different from. So we are all unique. Our journeys in life, they are unique. But I would just advise that if you are faced with that challenge, try to be flexible, because as an international student, you want to begin with the end in mind. You don't want to be too concerned about, and that really tallies with what Leona said when the question of sponsorship comes up. What's important to you is getting in first, get into the system, know how the system works, know how the workplace, how it works, know how the culture is, know how everything works. Take it a step at a time. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't think about, make plans for the next 2 years, for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years, but take it a day at a time. I just want to quickly mention, I once worked at Bolton Wanderers Stadium. I once served drinks at Bolton Wanderers Stadium, but I took it because those were my early days. I needed an opportunity. Of course, I needed to pay bills, but I also needed an opportunity to work with people. I needed an opportunity to see how people think. I needed an opportunity to serve people, to build value, to build skills. So just try. I would encourage everyone, just if you're in that situation, try to be flexible. And then gradually you find your way around it. Gradually. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Ishana?
Yeah, Asma, I should have raised my hand.
Oh, sorry, I
did
didn't
it
see it.
manually.
Sorry.
I want to say something important. I'm really grateful for the mix of panelists we have here tonight. And I'm sure that everybody will have one important thing to take him or the other. Abisola, should I pause for you, or what do you think? Do I
No,
finish
please
first?
go ahead, please.
Okay. All right, thank you. For every panelist, it's something peculiar. OAT's cases, I remember when he shared his testimony in the group, I was really, really amazed. And when we got talking and he told me about wills, I said, wow, this is a good one, thinking outside his immediate environment. And I love his intro when he talked about the fact that it was the unit that sponsored him in Manchester. So he was flexible to move around. And Abisola's intro, when she mentioned agencies, that is very important. Very, very. In fact, I got right now in my career, I want to venture into project management. I remember when I came to the UK new, I got a job with one company, one of the top 100 SMEs in the UK in Darwin, as a project support officer. And I love what Leona added when she talked about sponsorship. I carelessly left that job. I carelessly left that job that would have had great prospects for me. I mean, I was a great addition to the team. I was valued, I was welcomed, and my supervisor was such a fantastic person. But I wasn't futuristic. I was just thinking of the immediate. I mean, I got this job barely. I came in May. I think I started the job July. So can you imagine the opportunity I lost? So the take home is a lesson for me. The take home there is for students. When you mix all these experiences together, Femi said relationship, which is very important. If you mix all these things together, there are many pathways you can carve out for yourself very early. Yes, you have 20 hours work limitation for you, but if you can get into an industry that is close to what you want, in project management, you have project support officer, you have assistant project manager, you have the junior project manager, you have project administrator, you have project. There are so many things that is basically the same thing. It's just that here in the UK, like Abisola rightly said, I remember in Nigeria, if you're doing nursing, you're doing the entire general nursing. But here in the UK, there's nothing like general. You are either in child nursing, adult nursing, mental health nursing, or they are specializations. So you are termed a professional at what you do. So there's one important lesson that we need to also carve out, putting what all the panelists have said together. Right now, you can get into the industry or career of your dream while you are a student, putting together all these factors that have been said, not ruling out the place of using agencies, not ruling out when you enter, embracing relationship, and not being careless like me, who was looking for sponsorship barely 2 months when I got that job, where I should have stayed and at least got 1 year experience. That would have been a great buffer or platform for me. Let me just stop there until let us progress. I just wanted to drop that so that someone can have that roadmap clearly spelled out for him. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ichena. And now when you mentioned that, an Arabic saying came to my mind. It says, "Is'alu ahla dhikri in kuntum la ta'lamun," which means basically, if you don't know something, go and seek the advice or guidance of the right people. In our case, if we want a particular job, go and ask people that have already experience and knowledge in that field. So basically is open up to opportunities and building that connections with others. I pass it on to Abisola. Thank you so much for waiting. Yes.
Thank you so much. It's just a little addition to the question you asked, if it is okay to start a job outside your field. I just want to add that it's very okay. Like part of the jobs I did that really aided my communication skill was working as a support worker. You know, that's process when you have to communicate with the service users, you know, like it really, really, really assisted my communication skill. I had really poor communication skill. Like, you know, I was just someone who blabs. I really could not make concise statements and all, but over time it aided, you know, my communication skill. That is one out of so many, you know, menial jobs you get into just to make a means to an end when you first get into the UK. But don't see it as a bad thing. Just pick the good side of that job and move on to your dream job. And I know that it's doable and it's achievable. Thank you very much.
I don't know if you can still hear Abisola, or is there a problem of connection? Can you hear her? Oh,
I guess the
Ab-
connection was lost. At
ah,
what point did you stop hearing me, please?
yeah. If you could, if you could repeat, you know, the last sentence that you said, I think that's the only one that we missed.
Yeah, I said, you know, having to be a support worker at first aided my communication skill. Like it helped me
Yeah.
it helped me to start making, you know, concise communication. I could speak well, I could speak with people. And I said, if I could do it, everyone else can do it. Just don't dwell on that fact. Just like Femi said, mindset. It's a bad job. Just make sure you're taking something out of that job you think is bad that you can transfer into your dream job. Thank you.
Exactly. And I would say also it depends also on the way how we were brought up. So sometimes, unfortunately, we were put down by our elders by saying you're not able to do that. But in fact, when you go and push yourself, you realize another side of yourself, or an ability that you otherwise wouldn't have thought of. So yes, is push yourself, try it. What's the worst that can happen? You're gonna lose that job. So go and find another job that will value you, will value your who you are. We're gonna now move to the next question that says, how was your experience? Did you receive any help during your CV preparation, and did you maintain the same CV all through? Now, before it was mentioned that basically to try to adapt the CV to the job specification, person specification and job description, and also the fact of making good use of career service. Now, is there anybody that would like to add something to this question? Did you receive any help during CV, or were you aware that there is, support? Yes, Olufemi.
Thank you, Asma. So in my case, it was a long journey. Let me check the time so I don't spend too much time. There was a point where I didn't know I had to edit my CV. And just like you said, Asma, when you don't know something, you seek for knowledge. The United Kingdom is a place where most times people are willing to help you. Nobody's going to say something bad to you if you tell them, I'm sorry, I don't know how to do this. Can you put me through? Most people I've met, even something as minute as you're going somewhere, you miss your way. Why don't you just ask? Just ask. Just ask. The worst response you get is a no. I know that it's also, and that goes back to the mindset, the mentality. I know most of us feel bad when somebody says no, but somebody telling you no actually means that you tried to do something. So that's a positive side. You can always see things from the positive side. So there was a point where I didn't know I had to edit my CV. Now there was a point I started, by virtue of relating with people, going for events like this, I realized I needed to edit my CV. So I think the first time I edited my CV, I did it personally. And then it got to a time, the University of Bolton has something on the student hub. It's called CV360. So CV360 is an AI that you can just upload your current CV. It tells you, take this out, do this, do that. It grades your CV for you, and it's free of charge. Now, when I was student employment champion, one of the things I realized was that lots of students don't know about these resources. And it was painful because you've paid your tuition, you have access to these things free of charge. So it's on my Bolton app. It's on the university website, Student Hub. Just go there, upload your CV. It's going to tell you. It was when I started working in the career service I realized your CV must not be more than 2 pages. You don't have to tell us. You don't have to list everything you've done. And then I realized that when you're listing your skills or your profile, 1,001 people would also say they have great communication skills, great teamwork skills, great interpersonal skills. Those skills are too general. They are too generic. To make it easier for yourself and the interviewer, give an instance in one of the places you've worked before that you've highlighted in your CV. Give an instance where you use that skill to do something. Timothy mentioned the STAR method. Just put it there, just 1 or 2 lines. It makes it easier. It makes it more practical. Just keep it real, keep it practical. Now, there was a time where I realized, okay, I was fine with CVs. I was fine with cover letters, but I was failing at my interviews. So I was like, okay, so the first step in getting a solution is asking yourself, where's the problem? You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. You apply throughout this week. You have to take time out to evaluate. I still have my books. Every job I apply to, I write it down. Every job I apply to, I write it down. Every job that called me for an interview, I note it. It's all about this mindset of excellence. So I realized, okay, I wasn't doing well in my interviews. So I went back. Now, the University of Bolton has something called mock interview. You can book a one-on-one session with career advisor. And people from, even if you have friends in other universities, I'm sure they have a careers team in that university. You can book a one-on-one session with the career advisor. They'll put you through. You can do a rehearsal, an interview. You don't even need to necessarily go out. If you have your roommate, your flatmate, tell them to ask you questions. Tell them to prepare you for the interview. Look at the mirror, express yourself, do a 3-minute video, play it back, look at your eye contact, look at your gesticulation, look at your use of words. These are things that would point you gradually to where the problem is. If I have people come to me and tell me, I've been applying for a job for 3 months and I've not gotten anything, I ask them. I try to diagnose where the problem is. Is it in your CV? Are you getting callbacks for interview? Okay. Is it in your interview? So there was a time as well I was failing interviews. And so my last interview that got me my current job, I wish I could show you that CV. What I did, I printed out the CV I sent for that job. And of course, I got help. So what I did was I didn't just send out my CV. I showed people. Could you help me look at this? Could you help me look at this? Could you help me look at this? People that were qualified. And then they will say, adjust this, adjust this, adjust this. And so when it was perfect, I sent it out. So that perfect, in quote, CV, because I don't think there's a perfect CV, but I printed out that CV. I printed out my cover letter. I printed out the job description and the person specification. And I took all that to my interview. So when they were asking me questions, even before I went to the interview, I had interviewed myself. Mm-hmm. I was looking at everything that they are going to ask you is related to the person specification and the job description. So I treated that job as if I was preparing for an exam. I don't have the CV and job description here with me. I would have shown you, would have seen where I underlined, where I asterisk, where I did this. That's the mindset of excellence. You need help. If you need help, you can't survive in isolation. Human beings are social beings. Be part of the community. Interact with people.
Yeah, true.
So it's really going to help. I could keep going on and on, Asmaa.
Thank you. I told you we will organize something just specifically with you and you can share your wisdom with us. Thank you so much. And I would say that self-reflection indeed helps a lot, because it is looking at what is it basically that needs improvement to get you where you want to be. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now, Timothy, thank you for your for waiting, and we'll pass it on to you. Yes.
Yeah. Olufemi has mentioned almost everything I was about saying. Yes, I made use of CV 360. and it helped a lot. While I first uploaded my CV, it was like scored me 50%, and I was just wild, like. So I had to stick to the corrections, and then I was 100%. I knew, okay, this came right. And then I went for job there, where I met the NCS, that's the National Career Service. And then the man said something, said, you've got the right skills, but there's something you're not doing right. And in saying that, it was then like more elaborate about it. You need to know that the fact that you studied data analytics and technologies does not mean you just have to be fixated on becoming a data analyst. There are other job roles that you can start. He gave me the site and check, just write data analyst, and it gives you like kind of synonymous job advert roles that you can apply for. Information analyst, so you don't want to do business analyst because it's quite different from data analyst, but you get synonymous job roles that you can apply for, and not you now start looking for only data analysts. You get information analysts. That's what you can do, because it's almost the same thing as just now it's no more data. You have more developed kind of data structure, and then that helped me a lot. And coming back to the interview aspect as well, one thing I've realized in the interview is that you need to know that it's your time. You don't need to rush things up. Take your time when they ask you questions. Because the last interview I went before the one that I used to get the present job, while he gave me the feedback for filling the interview, he said, you're not quite elaborate in answering the question. So I was more like, I just give them probably just one answer to the question. If they ask, how do you manage stress at work? And I tell them I use Pomodoro techniques and stuff like that. I don't quite elaborate. I've been able to use that evidential it was and all. So giving me that feedback, my last interview that you get job, for every question I make sure I spend probably 15 minutes to, I know what I'm doing, to tie up a lot as well.
Thank you so much. And like you said, it's good sometimes, even when we get a no, when we get a chance, because sometimes they do give us a chance for feedback of why did they say no, is to use that as your next level, to do it in the next interview that will get you there. Thank you so much. Now I'm gonna ask the last question, and that's just half of the questions that we prepared. That just to show you how amazing this session is, and hopefully we'll have a follow-up. Now, how was your experience before you got your job, and how did you react in terms of experience? Did you do volunteer? Did you have part-time job? No. Or were you even not bothered? Did you say, do you know what? I'm going to finish my education and then start looking for a job, taking any online courses or special programs in addition to the course that you have. Now, like I said before, it was mentioned, for example, doing volunteering as part of, by Leona. She mentioned doing volunteering. Was it Leona? Did you mention doing volunteering together? But anyways, somebody mentioned before that as part of okay, sorry. They've done volunteering, so that's something. Okay, so we got Olufemi. Yes.
Like I said, well, did I volunteer? And I feel sometimes some of us are already doing these things. For instance, you belong to a community or you belong to a society in the university and you're quite active there. That can count as volunteering. Most times, we think some of these things are special or they're elaborate, or it's until when you have a card that says, my name is Asmaa, I'm a volunteer. No, these are things you do every day. You have a sister that has a child, you take care of the child, you're volunteering. Your mosque, your church, or the place of your religious or spiritual commitment, you do things there. You work in the music department or you work in the welfare department, you're volunteering. These are soft skills are building and would definitely help you on your path to your job. So I remember volunteering at the time at Bolton FM. I didn't know that I would later be employed part-time at Bolton FM. Like I said, I worked at Bolton Stadium as well before starting at the University as a student employment champion. And then after that, I remember a time where it was between June and July 2022. I applied for about 500 jobs. It was frustrating. And I know that almost everyone on this call, you've been in that situation before. And so Leona, myself, Abisola, Timothy, we are not here to make you feel like you're not doing enough. We're just here to make you inspired. We are here to make you realize that you shouldn't give up. It is possible. Maybe it's time to step back and self-reflect and see, what am I not doing right? What should I be doing, more? What should I change? And I advise people, if you've been applying for a job for like 2-3 weeks consistently, take some days off, rest, take care of yourself, watch out your mental health. Don't put too much pressure. What will come, because your mindset is, if it has not come, then it is not for you. When something that is yours, when it is actually yours, it will come at the right time. So don't push yourself too much. So these are things that have helped. Then in my current job, because sometimes we tend to relax when we've gotten the job. Yes, I've got a job now. I can do as I like. But like I said, the mindset of excellence is always wanting to improve. So my job is a Monday to Friday job, but I also am a professional qualification, which is equivalent to a master's. I already did a master's for 18 months. I don't really like studying like that. But sacrifice. I have to write reports. If I was asked to talk like this, I would love it, because it comes natural for me. But having to type, and then you have to reference, you have to include citation, it's stressful. But I have to do it. I have to do it. So I know that these are the early days where I'm putting in the sacrifice, I'm putting in the commitment, I'm showing up, I'm giving my best, and that's what I would encourage everyone here to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olufemi. Leona, to yourself.
Yeah, I couldn't stress enough on transferable skills. Every time I've just spoken about transferable skills. One thing I would say, so I studied supply chain, but I work for career service, nowhere related, not even a tiny bit related to something that I wanted to pursue my career in. But then one thing I would say is, I was also a course representative, but before joining all these things, when I moved to the UK first, I was very timid. I was just in my own bubble, in a little shell, just by myself. But once I moved here, I was like, I need to step up. I need to step my game up. This is the UK. This is not back home where I've got my family around. Even if I stay at home, it doesn't matter. No. But here, I need to work for myself. I joined the career service part-time. Amazing. The best decision of my life. Even if I was getting paid on the other part-time job way more than I was getting paid at the university. But at that point, I didn't care. And the only thing in my mind was, what can I learn from this? And boosted my confidence, communication. If 2 years ago you would have told me I have to speak in front of people, I would have been like, nope. I would have given excuses. I would be like, nah, not my thing. I'm busy. I can't do it. Sorry. But now I just took the opportunity. I was busy. I just got back home at 5:30 from work, and I was like, I need to get on with this. Um, every opportunity, just take it. No matter if you can't speak, you can't speak. It's fine. But give it the opportunity. Give yourself the chance to speak. That's all I can say.
Thank you
Thank
so much. And thank you for making it. I know after a long, tiring day for you to join us, it's very much appreciated, honestly. Timothy, to you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. My experience before I got the job, I had about 89 job applications with the NHS. I had about 5 interviews. and got one out of 5 opportunities for the rest. And, how did I react? Just give me more confidence to go for more. When I apply for jobs, I get opportunities. That's not the end of life. I just apply. I'm not part of the best they needed, and probably I'm not putting my best in the application. Just go for more. And in terms of volunteer or experience, I've only got a part-time experience, and that was even back home where I had to use Excel for my part-time experience. Because I had my bachelor's in mathematics. I volunteered as that kind of analyst with a company, and the part-time I was while I was studying as well. So not got that much of experience, but with my studies, and then I quite believe in myself. This while one thing again that I keyed into is I got registered with the British Computer Society, and they've got lots of webinars, lots of call for papers. That if I've got any papers I'm writing on, to get layman's on this, I work on, send it over for them to publish, and then I got the what's it, they are using SVM and random the advertising. That gives me a huge leverage when applying for jobs. They feel like for me to have got a paper in such a kind of concurrent discussion, being able to help diagnose diabetes type earlier, it's just an added advantage to the trust. So, and then at the moment, I'm undergoing a cybersecurity program. Just want to add to myself is being a data analyst and the information governance rule governing the UK, and you being cybersecurity aware, it's just an added advantage to see as well. So it's just all about stuff. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you that you mentioned bringing the experience from our countries to, where we are now, which it could end up being forever in the UK, or you could end up in another country. Like you said, it's bringing skills that initially you might say, oh, how is this going to be any useful? But no, you might never know when that exact skill or that exact knowledge that you earned, when you were in education or at back home, is going to actually be that valuable addition, to that company. In my case, I can talk from experience. For example, when I was in Italy and I was taught Arabic, initially I said, oh, on top of having to go to school, the weekend I had to go and learn Arabic. But guess what? 10 years down the line, it's actually Arabic that got me, the knowledge of knowing Arabic that got me into working in schools, specifically helping those who only speak Arabic. So imagine if I did not go for that, or I was, let's say, stubborn, and, not have done it, I wouldn't probably have got the job that I got. And I've very much enjoyed it. I'm so grateful that I've learned Arabic and other things. So yes, whatever you think, don't take anything for granted, anything. And like Olufemi said, even the things that we do on our personal lives, guys, bring it to your interview. Mention them in the interview, because we're not just workers, we are also human beings. So those examples that you bring, about practical examples of what you did, it kind of creates an image in the interviewer mind, and it makes them either choose you or not choose you, sometimes even based by just those personal experiences of yours. Yes. So thank you so much. Now, just before we are gonna wrap up, I would like to give a chance, if there is we're gonna have a Q&A, but before the Q&A, I would like to see if there is anybody from the people who went to the EU tour with me and Uchenna that could tell us about their experiences and how.
It's not a major one.
Tali, Meli, joined us, that can please tell us how did this experience change their mindset about job opportunities and looking beyond the UK, because we've been to Belgium, we've been to Luxembourg, we've been to France. So is there anybody? Otherwise, I would like you Uchenna, to tell us his personal view on this. Uchenna, can you see anybody from the people that went with us?
I think I saw Juwon. Juwon, are you here? Okay, I think I saw Juwon and Tolu. Tolu, are you still here?
Oh, great people, by the way. Honestly, it's been such a great pleasure to travel with them, and it would have been so much, fun for whoever joined us, because it's been such an eye-opening experience, honestly.
Yeah. It's a good thing we did the feedback video while we are at the EU Parliament. The trip was well, I wouldn't want people to see it as just fun and adventurous, even though it was fun and adventurous, I must say. But like I said during the interview at EU, there's a form of peer pressure that is not negative. In this sense, it is not peer pressure that forces you or makes you travel. It is that kind of positive peer pressure that enriches your experience and value system. I mean, I loved Belgium when we got there, but I fell in love with Luxembourg. I mean, Luxembourg is a country that I've heard of in the side, the free transportation, and a very quiet city. Imagine when we were at Luxembourg City and I was comparing to London, where I said if you're on the walkway, it's either a bike, someone on a scooter, or someone is telling you, the rush. But in Luxembourg, we're just taking our time. So Abisola said something very interesting, which I love, when she said hybrid role. The world is changing, especially after COVID. And recently, I have two of my friends who from Nigeria got jobs in Netherlands, and they're working remote. And recently, across the EU, you find out that most countries are beginning to have work visas where you can just apply for the visa, come into the country, and get a job. So this tour was not just to go and have fun, although we had fun, but it's just to provoke our thoughts. I love what Timothy said when he talked about Manchester being, University of Bolton being what the institution that sponsored his visa to Manchester, and then getting a job. He's not just restricting himself to his environment, he's thinking across regions across the UK. Same goes for international and home students alike. When you're embarking on your job search, do not limit yourself to Bolton. Do not limit yourself to Manchester. You can spread your net as far as Asia, as far as Singapore, as far as the US, countries scattered abroad. So the tour was organized as part of these activities to tell people that you can think beyond borders. I mean, sometimes the pressure we have on ourselves is the pressure we've actually set by our own hands. Not just the pressure of getting a job, but the pressure that we have limited ourselves within a particular surrounding. And the thought comes up to tell us that why not think beyond your surrounding, the opportunities beyond your surrounding. I'll stop there so that I do not take much of our time. But yes, that was why we embarked on the EU tour. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I can share with you, I can agree with you that Luxembourg was one of my favorites, honestly. Such calm and really, amazing people, amazing place, very clean place to live in. And honestly, it's just amazing. And I myself, I've never considered Luxembourg, before, but now I'm kind of having second thoughts of maybe doing something in there.
When I came back, I told my wife she should start considering moving to Luxembourg.
Of course. And I would encourage anybody that gets a chance when you can do your visas to go and visit Luxembourg. For us, it was just one day. But I think in one day you can get an idea. You can rent, you can have a, like we've done, a hotel somewhere outside Luxembourg because it's quite expensive. It's known to be quite expensive. But then go there even to over 2 days, 3 days, and get an idea about the Luxembourg or any other place. I would very much highly encourage you to do that. Now we'll open a session of Q&A. Any questions you've got to our guests here, or to myself or to you, Chenna. And I would like to start with one question that was written here. Are there any volunteer jobs in Bolton or Manchester? Kindly give examples. Does anybody from the people here, even from the guests, from our listeners, do you know of any volunteer opportunities? I know that if you go to it depends what volunteering in what field you're looking for. If you're looking for any volunteering just for the sake of gaining some experiences, I know that a lot of jobs also in town center, they do write volunteer needed, and don't take them for granted, guys. Those working in shops, because it teaches how to be in a team. It teaches how to communicate, how to interact with people. So I would say start by considering those as well. Olufemi, yes?
Thank you, Asma. In addition to what Asma has just said, if the person is a University of Bolton student, all you need to do is to go on, of course, in addition to that, because I remember there was a time it got so bad that I had copies of my CV and I'll go into companies and I'll just have a conversation with the receptionist and say, oh, can I see the HR? And I'll just drop my CV. None of them called me back, but any one of them could have called me back. So if you're a University of Bolton student, you want to go on Career Hub, it's on your My Bolton app. Just search. There's going to be a filter. You can filter, get volunteering jobs in Bolton or in Manchester. There are always volunteering jobs. British Heart Foundation as well. They always want people to volunteer 2 hours, 3 hours a week. All you just want, because the truth is, and I'm going to be a bit firm, nobody's going to do your assignment for you. Nobody's going to, because everybody is, Leona at the moment is bothered about advancing in her career. Timothy at the moment is bothering about advancing in his career, or he wants to get married, or if he's married, he wants to have kids, or everybody has one or two things to bother about. So we have to be more deliberate. We have to take the first step. We have to, because nobody will put in more passion about you than you. I think that just nails it. So, and if you're a University of Bolton student and you have any challenge, walk to the careers department. The careers department is in the Chancellor's Mall. It's the first turning by your right. So it's just opposite student services. Walk in there anytime from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. There's someone waiting to attend to you. And if you're not comfortable with a face-to-face discussion, you can book a one-on-one online. The university has made it very, very accessible. We the students are not just taking advantage of it.
Yes, thank you so much. And yeah, make the most out of the support that you get whilst you get it, because trust me, there are other places where you don't get as much support or as much care even. Thank you so much. Any other questions from our listeners? And first of all, I want to thank our listeners for bearing with us, and I hope they learned something, a thing or two, from the experiences that were exposed today kindly by our guests today. Are there any questions, anything that you'd like to ask, anything that you'd like to understand better? If you can either put your hand up and speak on the mic, or you can write it down, you can read it out. Yes? So we've got 5 more minutes before we wrap up our meeting today. Any more questions? or even questions from to and to our guests here? Is there anything that you wanted to know more? Feel free, guys. It's just between us, just students. We're all on the same boat. We all have gone through the same challenges and insecurities as well. And I can talk from a home student perspective. Being a home student doesn't automatically mean as soon as you graduate, you find a job. It takes ages, and it takes all the things that were mentioned. It takes experience, it takes knowledge, it takes, honestly, whilst I was away, I got 2 job interviews being booked on the same that I was flying on the 23rd. So I missed them, and they came back to me with, unfortunately, we can't, proceed. And I got so many no. But that doesn't mean that I'm gonna stop here. In fact, I'm planning, just after I have some rest, I'm gonna start with my job hunt all over again. And I will take into account some of your points, guys, that you mentioned before. Now, I see Olainka, sorry, I hope I pronounced your name properly. Yes?
You tried, you got it right. Olayinka is my name.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
I want to specially thank the organizers of this particular discussion time. It's really a very interesting and encouraging platform. And also, I want to say that it amazed me that a lot of students at the University of Bolton are not directly connected online with this particular discussion. We are very few. I think I was 27 or 28 when I joined, or 21 thereabout. And I noticed also, please pardon me for my observation, I used to be a teacher, a leader, and all those things. So I observed that most of us here are Nigerians, except for Asmaa and then another one, another somebody there. So I think we need to work more on that. I know that the mails are sent to every University of Bolton students, but then maybe mostly some are nonchalant, or maybe they are going for job or whatever. At any other time, let's ensure that we send it to various platforms, maybe on WhatsApp or different groups, so that at least we can have appreciable numbers. That being said, now I want to just quickly ask this. Are there, maybe from experience, because I'm aware we have people who are experienced here, who have been once university students, but now they are graduated, they are working now. Are there any, because we understand that most of us who are on professional line, maybe studying courses in computing, there are some certified or certification trainings that one has to do, and most of them, they are very costly or expensive. Can we have ideas? Maybe there are institutions or organizations that organizes or conducts such certification training, maybe free of charge or at a cheaper rate, considering that one is a student and thereabout. I hope my question is clear.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's clear, and it seems like Timothy has the answer for you.
All right, thank you for that question. As regards certification, at the moment, I'm also undergoing cybersecurity certification with read.co.uk. Is a kind of they've got courses for you if you want to undertake certifications and all. And one best part about them is they've got financing. So you could if the total what the cost of the licensing is probably £5,000, they let you pay over a year, over 2 years. So you just paying it monthly, and you don't just feel that cost, and you run through your courses. You might be done in 6 months, and even while you're still paying, you already have your licensing as well. So I think that's what I just would add.
Thank you so much, Timothy. Does that answer your question? And I think Olufemi has something to add as well.
Yes, please, before he moves to Olufemi, please, can you just quickly maybe send some of those things he mentioned on the chat there?
Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah. Olufemi. Yep.
Thank you, Asma. I just wanted to chip this in. You might find it useful. There was a time in 2022 when I was hunting for jobs, and I was like, okay, I think I need to add to my skill set. And then I learned SQL, Power BI, and a part of Excel. The lesson I just want to bring out from that is because later I realized I could have learned those things for a cheaper price from someone else. So the lesson I just wanted to bring out from that is everything new that you want to learn, there's someone who already knows it. All you need to do is find a way to know someone that knows it. So for instance, I don't know much about computing, but for instance, let's say there's a conference, or let's say you walk up to a lecturer. I think for a lot of us, one of the challenges is like walking up to people. If you're a University of Bolton student and we have lecturers in computing, you can walk up to them. You can book a one-on-one session with them. Sometimes I book one-on-one session. I mean, when I was still doing my master's, I'll book a one-on-one session with my lecturers. Just talk about something that is not really academic. It's academic, but it's not really academic, because these are people that I can say for sure, University of Bolton tutors, University of Bolton lecturers, these are people that are willing to go above and beyond. If you tell them, oh, I have this challenge, do you know anyone that can be of help? They might say yes, they might say no, but give it a try. You go for a conference or you go to a place where you feel okay. And that's what I mentioned about community. I might need a skill, and Timothy has that skill, and we can just agree, oh, between this time and this time, on this day of the week, let's meet for 45 minutes and you can put me through, So I think we might want to consider that as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now to Leona, please.
One thing I would say is there's LinkedIn learning always. Many of them fail to know and understand what LinkedIn learning is. LinkedIn is my base for everything. There's LinkedIn learning app where you can download the app, link it with your LinkedIn profile. There are a number of courses. There are a number of free courses available. Since computing is not something that I've done, I can't really say if it's there or no, but always check. Another thing is connect with people on LinkedIn that relate to your industry. Join groups. There's no limit of how many groups you can join. There's no limit of how many people around the world you can meet and connect with and talk to them. Just ask them, hi, happy to connect with you. I'm learning this and this course. Is it possible if you can give me any insights or any courses that I can do or any websites you can direct me to? People are ready to help. One thing I've learned on LinkedIn is they are happy to help you and progress in your career. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you so much. Thank you ever so much for this advice. And I myself will go into it because I've never done it. And like you said, it's useful. So why not? Uchenna, just before passing to you, I would like to ask if there is anybody else who has a question, because I would like to give you the finishing, let's say, touch to this today's discussion. Anybody else has any question to ask? Okay, so yes, Uchenna, to you. If you can unmute yourself, please. Thank you.
I wanted to say thank you very much, Asmaa. But before I go into the closing remark, Leona said something I really had in mind. And another thing we need to understand, which Timothy mentioned, that is very important. It is very important. Like I said, sometimes you can be your own leader. In terms of LinkedIn, what you can do is when you go to LinkedIn, as Leona mentioned, and you type in your job specification or stuff like that, trust me, there are several University of Bolton alumni working in different positions in the UK. You will definitely see one that is there. one trick you can do is go in your job profession or people who work in there. When you go through their profile, you see the kind of certifications that they did. And again, computing is vast, just like project management is vast, data analysis is vast, all the rest of them are vast. But when you go in there, you can see from their work history, for those of them who have related work history, you can see how they started or how the progression is. Inside computing, there are different career angles or sectors you can look at, and then you can see the certifications that they took as they made progress. It's one way that can help you directly know, how to go about it. And then again, you can explore the career service. That's why they are there. If they don't have an answer for you at that moment, trust me, they will do the necessary research that is very important, and they will get back to you because they owe you that guidance. They owe you that professional help and assistance. Those are the two ways you can do. Get to understand how to start up. And then finally, I want to say thank you to all our panelists for making our time to attend this event and share your wealth of experience. I'm really glad at the progress you are making, and I know it gets better. It gets better always. For the link, we would have shared it massively on groups, but I was very careful because I've had an experience where that was even before I became president, and I organized something like this using my Zoom account. I didn't know there was something like Zoom bombing. Yes, where organizations Zoom meeting can be hacked. So then I've been advised by UNIT to ensure that it is strictly on registration as it is. But nevertheless, this video will be shared on YouTube. Then the YouTube link can be shared to as many as. It's same as what happened in the Bolton Leadership Conference. Yes, we had many in attendance, but with the link online, those who weren't in attendance can as well view. We've shared great wealth of experience here. This link will also be sent to the careers advisors, which will serve as feedback for them, because we'll be having them, I and Asmaa again on the podcast, where they will be sharing their view. But I think it's also important that they hear from the students' conversation. So we are not discouraged by the number, but we are encouraged by the wealth of experience that has been shared, that we've shared here. And I'm sure that as many students that will lay their hands on this video, they will be inspired, they will have direction on how to go about the course of their career journey. And that is the aim of this event. Once again, thank you to all the participants who made out time in your busy schedule to be a part of this, for all the valuable questions that you asked and the contributions. Our panelists, they've dropped their handles, and you can reach out to them. Trust me, if you go to Timothy or Olufemi or Leona's or Abisola's LinkedIn handle, and you click there, you will see their progression as well. You will see the courses they have taken that they showcase on their bio, that you too, if that is the field you are into, can begin to get acquainted or begin to lay your hands on or make practice on. So once again, thank you so much. I appreciate. See you some other time.
Thank you so much, Uchenna. And also, I thank them so much, and every single person who managed to attend, and those who unfortunately, for one reason or another, couldn't attend. But hopefully, they will benefit, from this discussion and learn and improve. And once they're gonna get, that the career that they've always thought of, or something else even better than what they've initially thought, that would be such a great pleasure for us as well. And thank you for reminding them that we are actually thinking of doing another discussion like this, but this time where we're going to have the career advisors. So please keep an eye on the on your emails for that. As soon as we set up the date and everything is well organized, we're going to let you know. And once again, thank you so much for your time, and wish you all the very best in your careers. And thank you. I'm very sure that whatever you're doing or you will be doing, you're going to do it with your best. So that's something, a plus to the society you're in. So, and the benefit of it will reach one another. Thank you so much and have a good evening.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
before I call it a close, I want to thank you, Asmaa, especially for following up on me. I can get too busy and leave one project unattended to. Thank you for always making sure that we had this event today. Thank you so
Most
much.
welcome. My pleasure. And thank you for inviting me for it. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Good night,
Take care,
everyone.
everyone. See
Good
you
night.
next time.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.